Ms. Ramya MK brings a wealth of 10 years of professional experience, having started her career as a lecturer in the Electronics and Communication Department at Bangalore College of Engineering and Technology. She then spent 3 years at Hewlett-Packard in Bangalore. Her notable recognitions include being named an Innovation Ambassador by the Ministry of Education and serving as the Single Point of Contact, SPOC, for Microsoft for Education with MIE certification. Additionally, she coordinated personal and professional skills and language development for the International Baccalaureate organized by the World Academy of Career Programs. She holds a postgraduate degree in English, a bachelor's degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering, B, and a bachelor's degree in Education, Bachelor's of Education in English. Currently, she is a high school teacher at City Pride School in Moshi, Pune. Hearty welcome, Ms. Ramya. Please proceed. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Salam, sir. May I start with your permission?
Yes, ma'am. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Dear audience, greetings from Extra Mile. Extra Mile is a leading educational platform envisioned by Dr. Abdul Salam, the founder of BTAC, to revolutionize education and training. With its unparalleled pool of resource persons, Extra Mile excels in providing customized online and offline trainings across India. Before we begin, I would like to extend my words of gratitude to Salam sir for considering me as the moderator of today's session. And it's true joy to have each and every one of you as a wide this on action research in classroom. By embracing action research, we the educators can bridge the gap between theory and practice, fostering a culture of ongoing learning, collaboration, and student-centric excellence. Before we begin, I would like to quickly brief a few points. If you would like to avail the certificates, please sign in to the www.b-tag.in. If you're using it for the first time, sign up with your email address. It's a self-explanatory portal through which you can download your certificate through registered WhatsApp number. And if you have any query during the session, please convey the same through the meeting chat box. And to make the session more interactive, you may raise your concern at the end of the session. For the same, we request you to raise your virtual hand button and wait for your name to be called out. So before we begin, amongst us, we have Dr. Abdul Salam, who is a visionary founder and the CEO of Bharat Transformers and Academic Group and Extra Mile Education and Training. He's a distinguished CBSE resource person and master trainer who has contributed to the education sector. He also serves an assessor of NABET, which is a National Accreditation Board for Education and Training under the Government of India. On behalf of all the audience, I request Salam sir to share his views.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. Respected resource person, Shalini Narula. Very happy to see Shalini as our resource person today.
Same here. It's my privilege to be part of your team. It's blessing for me.
Thank you so much and best wishes to you.
Thank you.
Respected Biju sir and all who have joined. Well, the topic is very important but less familiar, it seems. That may be the reason many have not joined. Well, this topic, definitely those who have joined will find it very interesting and very useful in enhancing the teaching practices and also to find out the poor performance or the weak performance or whatever the reasons behind the performance of the students so that you can make it up using action research. So let's learn a new topic. Everybody, every day is a learning. So let's learn a new topic. Let's listen to Shalini ma'am. Let's enjoy and implement in the classroom. Wish you all the very best. Thank you. Over to Ramya ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your gracious acknowledgement. Amongst us, we have Mr. Biju S. Pillai, who has played various roles and designations in the field of education, including being the principal of well-reputed CBSE schools. He is also the co-director of Extra Mile Education and Training. So we are honored to have you amongst us. Over to you for your words.
Thank you, Ramya ma'am. Good evening to all, respected Salam sir, Shalini Nirla ma'am, and all other educators. Compared to all the days, today's session people are less, but still we hope more to join today. And as Salam sir is doing research in all the ways how we can make solutions, make a clarity between the teaching learning methodology. So looking into this, he has come out with a new topic, action research in the classroom. So for me also, it's a very good day to have more knowledge about this particular topic. So much without wasting much time, let's go to today's resource person. Wishing you all the very best, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your invaluable words. Now it's time to introduce a resource person of today, Ms. Shalini Narula. Over 15 years of experience in the field of education. She holds an MA in English Literature, MEd, MCA, and Diploma in Training and Development. She is an expert in English and Social Studies and is also recognized for her innovative pedagogy and impactful contribution, including presenting papers on the mindfulness practices for Generation Alpha and publishing articles in various newspapers. She is currently working as the middle school coordinator at Akshara International School. Ma'am, it is indeed our pleasure to have you as the resource person of today. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ramaya ma'am. Thank you, Salam sir and Biju sir. Inspiring, following your footsteps. I'm trying something new. I know the topic is unusual, and generally we, the educators, do so many things in our classroom, knowingly and unknowingly, but we don't know how to document it and nomenclate it. So it's just a small try that whatever we are doing in our classrooms, how we can document it systematically, refine it. So with your permission, sir, can I just share my screen and start with it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Proceed, please.
Is my screen visible, Ms. Ramaya?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. To teach is to touch lives, but to research is to empower that touch with precision, purpose, and endless potential. Good evening, educators and change makers. I want you all to just recall those 2 years of COVID when we all could manage to keep our students in touch with academics. But somehow, when our students came back to school, we realized that we could not keep them in touch with school culture and classroom environment. Just try to recall, we all did small experiments in our class, small innovations in our class. Yes, my dear friends, actually, that was action research. Today, we are going to explore that how systematically refine and elevate those experiments and innovations that we do in our classrooms every day. And they transform our daily practices into enduring breakthroughs. So let's begin. To empower our teaching and to transform our classroom, today's session will equip us with this new terminology or new methodology, which is known as classroom action research. The training roadmap for today will be some fundamentals of classroom action research, its significance, assumptions, scope, learning some practical steps, and final real life case study. I want you all to imagine this. You introduce a new collaborative learning strategy, but students resist to participate. Can we all just quickly write in the chat box that what will you do when you face this situation? I'm waiting for the replies in the chat box. Quick warm up by Ms. Jiva, I believe, for attention. Excellent, yes. Can we have more answers, please? We will do demo to the children. Yes, of course, we can do that also. Can we brainstorm a little more? Various things we can do. And it happens, it's very normal. We plan something, we go inside the classroom. BIS Priyanka, encourage student by giving some examples. Of course, yes, we can do that. By singing rhymes. Oh, that's wonderful idea. We do that. Icebreakers. Yes. Icebreakers. Of course. See, teachers, we generally do this. We plan a lesson, we go inside the classroom, and we feel that what we have planned on the paper is actually not working out. So we tweak and turn. We will think of other ways to make them participate by giving them stars, attention grabbing activity. Absolutely. See, all the answers that we have got, none of us dismiss it as mere student reluctance. None of the teacher, educator over here said this, that we'll change it, we'll plan and we'll do something else. Why so? Because as teachers, we always wish to delve little deeper. So this is what actually classroom action research is. It invites us to investigate, analyze what's happening, experiment with the solutions, and refine our approach based on real classroom data. The art teacher recognizes and wonders that there is a problem in class. She finds that all the students are not actively doing the activities or maybe the artwork that she is giving. She analyzes the situation. She thinks about the solution, that what can she do to improve so that everybody participates in the art activity that she is giving. She then implements those solutions. She collects and analyzes the data. The art teacher collects and analyzes the data and then check that whatever strategies she has implemented, what are the results? Is she able to now make sure that each and every student participate in the activity? Yes, she can. Why so? Because she has researched it, because she has implemented the strategies after researching and collecting the data. Now, how she could do that, we are going to we will be learning once we move ahead in the workshop or the training. Action research is about diving deep, like the art teacher, going beyond the surface level, observations to explore challenges, test solutions, and refine teaching practices. The deeper we go, the greater the impact is. So today, let's take the plunge with curiosity and commitment to grow in this new concept that is known as classroom action research. It's not a new term at all. It was actually introduced by Kurt Lewin, but there were different educationists at different times, those who defined action research, basically classroom action research. So Mr. Fullan sees action research as a bridge between theory and practice, helping teachers refine their strategies based on student outcomes. And Metcalfe emphasizes its systematic nature, focusing on improving teaching and learning. Together, they highlight action research as a tool for continuous professional growth through reflection and evidence-based practice. But what is classroom action research for you and for me? Just imagine a maths teacher. She's struggling with integration and differentiation. So what is she doing? Is she going to not teach the students or leave the students as it is? No, we never do as teachers. We never leave our students. We always help them. So she will apply different innovative strategies in the class. So what is she doing? It's a kind of action. She identified a problem, then she's implementing her action, then she's assessing the students after implementing the strategy, whether now students are able to solve problems of integration and differentiation or not. That is evaluation. Then she is reflecting on her strategy. 50% of the students are now able to solve to some extent, but 50 are still left. So she will tweak the old strategy, or maybe she will apply any new strategy. So that means she's reflecting on it. Classroom action research is a dynamic reflective process where teachers become researchers in their own classroom, continuously improving their practices through cycles of action, evaluation, and reflection. It is not about finding any immediate or absolute answer. It is about evolving solutions that enhance student learning over the period of time. The cycle repeats with each iteration informed by real classroom experiences, illustrating how action research is an ongoing process of inquiry, adaptation, and growth. It also empowers us as educators to take the ownership of our own practice for continuous learning to happen and meaningful impact on the education. But why do we need action research at all? We are already doing this in the classes, isn't it? Whenever we face any problem, we try to innovate something, we try to tweak our strategy, and we find a solution and we move ahead, isn't it? Yes, we do that. Absolutely. But you have ever thought of that why not to refine a little bit? Why not to attach it with data driven decision? Classroom action research is a powerful tool for transformation. A cycle, as I've already said in the previous slide, that it is a cycle of action, reflection, evaluation, refinement that drives that real change in teaching. Every insight, my dear teachers, every adjustment that you make in your class, it's a step forward. It is bringing you closer to the excellence of education. Action research transforms challenges into opportunities. Maths class, science class, art class, maybe behavior. It's not just about identifying the problem, it is about solving them through reflective practices, tailored solution as per the needs of my students. My decisions are data driven decisions. We refine our teaching for real impact. We see the impact, we analyze the impact, we make the changes, and we refine our teachings based on that real impact. It fosters professional growth. Of course, you and me, we grow as teachers when we refine our teaching strategies. Collaboration. It can be collaboration among students and teachers. It can be collaboration among the teachers. And most importantly, keeps the students at the heart of learning. Whatever we are doing for our students so that learning can happen. Our students can feel confident, they can grow. This reminds me of a story. There was a boy once, he met the elephant owner. And he asked the elephant owner, that huge big animal, and you have tied with that small rope, don't you think the animal will run away one day? The elephant owner said, dear boy, when these elephants were baby elephants, at that time, we used to tie them with these ropes. They tried their best to free themselves, but they could not because they were small at that time. My dear teachers, like these elephants, tied by small rope, teachers, we also sometimes feel bound by traditional methods or past failures. I have tried this method, it is not going to work. I know this is the best method. Nothing can be best than this. इसको मैथ्स आता ही नहीं है, मैथ्स नहीं कर पाएगा. My dear teachers, but this action research is the key that breaks those invisible chains, empowering we the educators to experiment, reflect, discover new ways to help our students thrive. The classroom becomes the car driven by curiosity and fueled by continuous growth. Now we know what is action research. Now we know why we should do action research. What is the significance of classroom action research? It's teacher agency. We lead the change. We are not waiting for someone to come and do something for us. We are, the flag bearers, tailored solutions for real classroom challenges, sharing Whatever I am doing in my classroom, I share with my co-teachers. My co-teachers share with me. And this is how also learning is happening, and we all are growing. We reflect, refine, and evolve. It is a cycle of progress that never stops. Do you remember the first slide where the students were disengaged? None of you said that we'll leave the students on their own. Let them study. What we did, we took an action, an innovative action, adapt, transformed learning into real time. So, my dear teachers, don't think action research only a research. It's a powerful result driven action that you people are doing in your classroom. Now, how? We know why, we know what, now how. So, how to conduct action research? Before that, we have to understand some assumption, epistemological assumptions, ontological assumptions, methodological assumptions, axiological assumptions. Bapre, difficult words, isn't it? Don't worry. Only the terminology is there. But when one by one we will delve deep into this terminology, you will realize that you're already doing this in your classroom. This is nothing new. Only the new thing that we are going to learn today is systematically refine it and document it. So, what is epistemological? How we gain knowledge. What is ontological? What is the nature of reality? Methodological? What methods are you going to use in your class and why? Axiological? Why do we value education? Epistemological assumptions. How we learn about teaching and learning. You know what one teacher did? She implemented a strategy in the classroom. She recorded that. She went back. She watches the classroom, the recordings again and again and again, just to see that which strategy worked and which strategy worked on which type of learner. Actually, the epistemological and ontological assumptions are interrelated to each other. Epistemological is basically learning by doing, and ontological, that we all know we have different learners in our class. Some are visual learners, some are reading learners. Work, we all know about work, isn't it? So we plan our strategy according to the learners that are there in the class. The maths teacher understood that some of the students can learn differentiation and integration by practicing more and more sums, while the other students, they are visual learners, so they need more video lessons so that the concept of integration and differentiation is clear to them. Axiological, what we value in education, helping teachers to improve. Yes, when we are doing something innovative, we are helping ourselves also, we are also improving. And fair learning for all. Each and every student should get the help that is needed, that particular student required. And a teacher notices that some students struggle with reading, so they find new strategies to support them. Methodological, we use different methods in class: observing, listening, trying, changing, improving our methods based on the results that we are getting from the when we started with the intervention or when we started with the innovation. Isn't it easy once? I told you only the terminology is some different or unique terminology, I can say. But we are actually doing this in our classrooms, isn't it? Aren't we doing all these things? Before we come to actual classroom action research, we should also know what classroom action research is not. This reminds me of one more story. There was one Miss Arya, she was very dedicated teacher, and she observed that after lunch, students are not that active. They are not in learning mode. So instead of just announcing, that children are labeling them as fatigue or they are restless or they are inactive, she turned her classroom into research lab. What she did, not just reflecting, she collected data, observed patterns, interviewed students, listened to them, and then brought some of the strategies. She was not just focusing on problem solving, she was asking the question, why the energy crash? what could, reset their mind after lunch. It is not about pathologies. We cannot say these children, they don't want to study after lunch. No, she experimented. With some students, she experimented movement breaks. With other students, she experimented mindfulness practices. It is not research on others, it is our research on our teaching practices, our students. So nobody can, give you a solution like, in lab after the experiment. Nobody can come and give you a solution. You have to identify the problem, you have to find the solution, you have to analyze that to what extent your solution is working, and then you have to conclude your research or your strategies. So, don't you think that action research breaks that rope of limitations? It empowers us to change, like the elephant tied. Same way, with that same belief, students were also tied that they cannot focus, the focus is impossible after lunch. But through ongoing research, Mrs. Arya helped them break free and discover their potential. I hope all the teachers sitting over here, to some extent, they will agree with me that we generally, request the timetable in charges rather don't give the last period. In last period, children are not in mood to study. Last period, I'm not able to finish my syllabus. So, my dear teachers, let us all take this action research for the coming academic session. We will take that last period. And in that last 35 and 40 minutes also, we will make sure that learning happens. Quickly, I will take you through this slide. It's just the comparison between traditional research and action research. Traditional research, it was conducted by professors, scholars, graduate students on experiments and control groups in controlled environments, controlled samples. Whereas when we talk about action research, we are conducting, we the teachers, the administrators, the principals, in our own schools, in our own classrooms. And over here, one more thing is very important, that we always believe in qualitative and quantitative, both the methods. We cannot, sideline the qualitative methods because we are dealing with students. Now, what is this qualitative and quantitative? After some slides, we will discuss a little more about it. Types of action research: individual action research, collaborative action research, school-wide action research. Individual action research, what Mrs. Arya did in her own classroom, that was individual action research. Collaborative action research, last year we observed that students coming from grade 6 to grade 7, somehow the mathematics score dipped down in grade 7. In grade 6, they are doing good, but in grade 7, maybe the difference in the concept level, the mathematics result dipped down. So all maths teachers, they come together and decide that what can we do so that the children can maintain the same results in grade 7 as well. So that is a collaborative action research. School-wide action research related to, the entire school. Teachers not reaching on time, or maybe, too many errors in the question paper, or any problem you can pick, which is a common problem in your school. You can pick it as a school-wide action research. Where to use classroom action research? Curriculum adjustment. Whatever you are doing right now, if you feel that with refining it or fine-tuning it a little more, or changing it a little, your students can do wonders. Then you can do adjustments in your curriculum. Behavior management, very important, for especially with today's generation. When we say that we need to really handle today's generation when it comes to values, when it comes to discipline, so behavior management can also be one of the topics of action research. Innovative teaching methodologies, so many we can use: theater in education, cinema in education, gamification, toy pedagogies. There are ample innovative teaching methodologies that you can use in your classroom and check, or you can use it through action research to find out that how impactful are these innovative teaching methodologies. Okay. So we know what is action research. We know why do we need action research. We know the significance. We know the types of action research. Now, how to do this action research? Before we move on, how to do the action research, I want you all to think of one single problem that you want to immediately solve. Only remember there are no limitations, no time constraints, no resource shortage, no institutional barriers, but still you're not able to do that one change. Can we quickly write in the chat box that what can be that one change? I'm waiting for the answers in the chat box. Any one problem, simplest of it that comes to your mind first. It can be very, very simple problem. Problem is a problem, whether it is simple or it is complex. Maybe, the students are not facing problem in reading, comprehending. Maths teachers can tell me some problems, or English teachers. Vocabulary development for class 1 and 2, excellent. Spelling errors, absolute. Learning mindset of students. Students not doing homework. This is actually an action research topic. Focus is for short time. Absolutely, absolutely agree. This is again very common problem that we are facing in today's generation. Maths, vocabulary focus, functional grammar, addiction to social media. Absolutely agreeing with everyone. Addiction to social media, another topic of action research. Less self-confidence. Absolutely, absolutely. Phonics missed in early kindergarten. Ah, yes. This is again transition from kindergarten to grade 1. Wonderful idea of action research. Can we have one or two more? Okay. Now, what I request you all to take a pen and a paper, because after this, I'm moving on. Reading practice. Manage IED students. Absolutely, absolutely. Less attention for students. Yes, yes, yes. So what I want you all to take a paper and pen, divide that paper into these 5 columns that you see on your screen right now. On the top, write the problem that you have written in the chat box. And let's see with me, can you just make the outline of the action research? Absolutely. We cannot, in 1 hour's time, we cannot prepare the entire document. But can we just write, the keywords so that later on we can prepare our action research, and we are ready to do that action research in the coming academic session, that is 25-26. So how to do action research? Identify the problem that you have already done. Plan the intervention based on your problem. Act on those interventions. After acting, observe to what level your intervention is working. Do your intervention need some more refinement, tweaking, change that is reflecting on your intervention? So in these 5 steps, we are going to work when we are working with the classroom action research or whatever problem you have identified. Spotting the challenge, identifying a problem. Very, very important step, identifying a problem. Spelling errors. Somebody wrote in the chat box. What do we mean by spelling errors? See, if you're going to, why identifying problem is very important. It's important. Why so? Because if you identify the wrong problem, then it will lead to frustration and stagnation. So that is why it is very important to identify the correct problem. Students are disinterested and don't want to learn. Now, what do I mean by this? They are disinterested in my subject. They are disinterested in that particular activity. They are disinterested. My teaching is not impactful. What are they disinterested in? Why they don't want to learn? So that's a very vague term. This is not the problem, actual problem, right? Because in this problem, what are we doing? we are blaming the students. They are disinterested. No, we have to identify the correct problem. Now, what is the correct identified problem? What teaching strategies I should use that increase student engagement and make my lesson more interactive and relevant. Now, what I am focusing over here, it is the first step. I have identified the correct problem. Yes, my students are disinterested. I'm not denying on that. But am I framing my problem correctly? So the first step is to frame your problem correctly. Focus on your practice. What can I do so that learning happens? Then observe and reflect on it. Consider your students' needs. They are hyperactive current generation alpha. They are not old school students. Chalk and duster will not do everything for them. So we have to consider their needs and we have to be very, very specific. Don't try to cover too many things together. Try only one thing. My teaching strategy, can it be interactive? Can it be engaging? The question or a problem should look at something which is under my control. It should not be something, if a student is facing some problem at home, I cannot solve that problem over here in school, right? So my problem should be something which I can work upon in school. Teaching strategies, making them more interactive. Students are disinterested. Is my teaching strategy less interactive or it is not engaging the students as per their requirement? Whatever assignment I have given, is that assignment simply a workload or, the learning is happening, knowledge is taking place. The classroom activities are mere activities. They are not adding on to their knowledge. So I have to look upon these points when I am talking about my action research. It is very important to choose the right problem, the correct problem. And also, my problem should be feasible in terms of time, efforts, and resources. Don't try to solve a big problem at once. If it is your first action research, think small. Change begins with small, deliberate actions, isn't it? So don't try or don't experiment something big. Take a very small idea and start doing your action research on it. In fact, Angelo Cross said that choose a class which is already doing, progressing fairly well. It is not like that we don't want to cater to the students, those who are facing difficulty, or we want easy go, so we don't want to take, difficult class. No. The case is not at all like this. Why we want to start with the, a class which is already progressing fairly well or interactive class, so that when you apply a strategy, you get a, spontaneous, good and active response from them. If you will not get a response from them, then you will not understand that the problem lies with your strategy or the problem is somewhere else. For example, you want to teach a student complex maths word problems. Now, if you take a class which is already struggling with maths concepts or struggling with maths, then how that class is going to respond to your action research of solving the complex maths problems. So choose your sample also very wisely. Choose your problem wisely. Choose your sample wisely. Choose simple problem and simple class if it is your first action research. Once you gain the confidence, once you understand the entire flow, once you understand how to tweak it, then you can take up any kind of challenge. And my dear teachers, you all know, and in fact, I should say that we all know, we are always ready to take up any kind of challenge. And we do take also in our everyday classrooms. Now, we have identified the problem. Now, time is there where we have to define the problem, laying the foundation. We have to define the problem, right? Now, just imagine, let's say this time physics or chemistry teachers, they understand that, or they, after, observing these students, they understood that the students are not scoring good in board results, it is not because they're not understanding the complex concepts of chemistry or physics. It is because they're not able to retain the concepts for a longer period of time, isn't it? So, is this problem directly observable and relevant? Absolutely. It's observable through the board results. Relevant? Yes, relevant to the current students. Actionable? Absolutely. We can implement so many strategies in the class so that they retain their, they can retain the science concept for the longer period of time. They not only can retain it, but they can also use it during the exams or in real life or as and when required. It's purely student-centered approach. Our ultimate goal is to enhance students' long-term retention, boosting their confidence and improving their outcome, academic outcome. Is the problem specific and well-defined? Yes, it is very well-defined problem. Students struggle to retain science concepts over time, impacting their assessment performance. It very well, the problem itself defines what the problem is. The problem is retaining of the concepts, and what is the impact of that problem impacting their assessment performance. So what the researcher has to do? Researcher has to plan the interventions through which the concepts can be retained for a longer period of time. Now, over here, the physics and chemistry teachers are very much clear that it is not about understanding the concepts. They have understood. Even the complex concepts are very clear to them. It's not about understanding the concepts. It's about retaining the concepts. So even, that one word retain is very, very important when this problem is defined. So when you're defining your problem, be very, very specific that what are you talking about. You're talking about phonic sounds. You're talking about English phonic sounds and the strategy so that children can adapt those or learn those phonic sounds within the given period of time. So you have to be very, very specific that what you are targeting through your action research. This slide, I will not take much time over here. Quickly, it's just I have given some examples, identifying a problem and defining a problem. Students struggling with complex maths concepts. It's very broad, terminology. So we have to be very specific. We have to detail everything. We have to understand the pattern so that our research is focused research. Students often skip steps or make errors when conducting experiments. They do, but what my action research is going to target, I have to be very, very clear, very, very specific with it. Now, turning insights into action. Now, before planning your intervention, I totally agree that, intervention is the backbone of your action research. Your interventions should be targeted intervention. That is why it is important to define the problems. Be specific with your problem so that your interventions are also targeted interventions. It can be teaching methods, materials, classroom strategies. But remember one thing, that always conduct pre-test and post-test. First, take the pre-test, analyze your pre-test, understand what is the exact problem, define the problem, plan your intervention based on the pre-test that you have taken, and then once you are done with your intervention, after that, always take the post-test. One, you will not miss the journey. If you start and you end and you don't do anything in between, then what are you going to do? You're going to miss, the experience or the joy that is there in the journey. So pre-test will tell you that what will be your path, and post-test will tell you that whether you have reached your destination or not. So always conduct the pre-test and the post-test, and also plan one mid-assessment to check that whatever strategy you decided after pre-test, are you moving on the right path yet, or you have deviated from your path, or you need a little more refinement in your strategies. There are actually two types of interventions that we can plan. First is academic intervention. Academic intervention related to the academics of these students. It can be any, like so many of you people have already given us so many academic problems in the chat box. It can be related to reading, related to comprehension, related to spelling errors, related to complex mathematical concepts, related to experiments. Any kind of academic problem can be there, and academic intervention plan is based on that academic problem. As I said, assessment will help you to know the direction and the result of your action research. But one thing is, again, I'm highlighting over here, is monitoring your progress. That is again something very, very important. Keep regular track of your students. Keep tracking that whatever you have whatever you have planned, on why you have planned, are you moving in the correct direction or not? And after every assessment, make sure that you are analyzing your data. Collect your data, analyze your data, try and understand from that data that to which direction your research is going, what more your research needs, or your research needs a conclusion now. So post-test, pre-test, mid-assessment, and analyzing of the data. Second type of intervention is behavior intervention. As I just said, today's generation need our help, hand-holding when it comes to values and discipline. But generally, whenever we prepare any kind of behavior intervention plan, generally they are positive interventions. Yes, of course, if required, we can take away some privileges for them, but we generally plan positive interventions. Why do we do that? Why do we plan positive interventions for them in case of behavior? So that they are motivated to adapt, so that they can accept that change, and that change is reflected in their personality. Behavior interventions can be collaborative also, because we might need specialists if the case is like that. We might need help of school counselor also, or it is always a collective effort of all the teachers. If I want behavior change, I go in that class morning first period and try my strategy, and then whole day we leave the students like this, then of course my strategy is not going to work. So behavior interventions are collaborative strategies wherein we all teachers come together, and then we implement our strategies, and of course you will see the positive results. Now we have implemented our strategies. Now time has come that we have to collect the evidences. Use diverse methods always. Don't rely on one single method for collecting the results. And use both type of methods, quantitative methods and qualitative methods. When we say quantitative methods, like test scores, qualitative methods, always make your students your partners, your co-teachers, your observation, surveys, feedbacks. Try and collect the data from different different methods, and then try to analyze your data. Okay. Now you have collected the data. Imagine a classroom where students freeze at the sight of a word problem. Now, maths teacher, she enters, she has explained the concept, but the moment she gives the complex word problem, she finds that, students are completely frozen and they are facing the problem. So what she do? First, she take the pre-test. She analyze the scores of the pre-test. She tries and understand whether the problem is understanding of the concept or comprehending of the word problem. Then she implements different strategies, because she understood that the problem is comprehending of the word problem. So she implements different strategies in the class. Then she again gives the same problem that she started with. She again analyzed the data. Now, almost the result is really very good, because they understood how to comprehend the data. But she's not stopping over here. She's using multiple sources. She's also talking to her students that what helped them the most, why it helped them the most, what they liked the most. Then what she did, she gave more complex problems this time. And then she tried to evaluate the test scores, that is that strategy workable to all types of complex problems. Then she came back and gave easier problems to the children to try and understand what is working best for these students. So she is focused on relevant aspect. She's collecting data through multiple sources, and she's continuously monitoring her progress. She's trying to understand that whether his strategy is working in the right direction or not, or if at all refinement is needed, what type of refinement is needed in the strategy. This transformation of students from not solving problem to solving higher order problem is not accidental, my dear teachers. It was the power of focused data collection and thoughtful intervention that turned confusion into confidence, proving that small targeted change can reshape the learning experiences. So always collect your data through multiple data sources and keep on monitoring your data also and monitoring your strategies also. These are some of the methods of data collection. I will not spend much time on it. But these are only to name a few. You can have your own n number or ample strategies to collect the data. These are some considerations that we have to keep in mind when we are gathering the data. Ethical consideration, student privacy and confidentiality when we are collecting the data, especially in the case when we are talking about, the minimum learners or the slow learners, or when we are talking about the behavioral aspect of any student. So confidentiality has to be maintained. Develop a clear plan. How will you organize? How will you code your data? And how will you interpret your data? You have done everything correct, but you have not themed or not interpreted your data properly. Then also your action research will not take you to the correct destination. Choose data collection methods that are manageable, feasible, and under your control. These are two important aspects. Quickly, I'll tell you what is triangulation. Triangulation is, I've already told you, always collect data through multiple sources. Why we should do that? Because if you're collecting the data through multiple sources, like the maths teacher did, she not only varied the types of tests that she was giving to her students, but she also took feedback from the students. She asked her students what, why, where, actually help them in the entire strategy. So always collect the data from multiple sources. When we collect data from multiple sources, there are chances that less errors are there and the data that we have collected is trustworthy data. Now you have your data, you have to organize your data and look at the recurring themes or significant changes in the data. What do I mean by that? Actually, we are going to analyze the data. And if we are analyzing the data, what we do, we identify the patterns, we identify the trends, we identify the key insights from the data. Some students in my class, they were scoring less in quiz. Then I started observing that why they are scoring less in quiz. They have not understood what I am teaching, or they're not very participative, they are not very interactive. So when I collected data, I understood that concepts are clear to them. The problem is not understanding of the concept. The problem is low confidence. So that is why they are not getting good scores in the quiz. So once I implemented these strategies to increase their confidence, they started participating in the quiz, and the quiz scores of such students also started increasing. So it is very important to analyze the data, and for analyzing the data, you have to make the patterns, trends, and key insights from the data. Interpretation of the data. It is very, very important to understand why behind that, why those students are not participating in class. Are they have any kind of fear of being wrong? Do they need any structured speaking opportunities? If whatever intervention I am applying, is it boosting their confidence? If it is boosting their confidence, are they now participating? What is the level of participation? So data interpretation to know that why, because that why will take us to the conclusion of our action research. Okay, so time for quiz. Now I have to also check that how much my students are able to retain. My co-teachers, the teaching fraternity, how much they are able to retain in last approximately 47 minutes. So here is a quick quiz for you all. Let me see what this quiz brings. There is something in. Okay. Here comes the first question. What is the primary purpose of classroom action research? Here are the options. Can I quickly have the answers in the chat box, please? To evaluate student grades, to improve teaching and learning practices, to conduct large-scale education research. Oh, I'm already getting B as the answer. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm proud of my students. Okay, here comes the second. Oh, everybody is absolutely correct. Kavita, K. Anand Lakshmi, absolutely correct answers. So here comes the second question. Classroom action research follows which of the following cycles? Here comes the answers. Plan, act, observe, reflect, teach, assess, grade, report. C says research, analyze, conclude, publish. B says observe, document, present, apply. Are we having some answers? Shobhanshri A, absolutely correct. Isha A, absolutely correct. Kavita, Preeti, Gajalakshmi, Neetu, Durga Devi, Ramchi, K. Anand Lakshmi, all correct answers. We all should pat our back. We all are good learners also. Here comes the next question. Which of the following is not a characteristic of classroom action research? Conducted by teachers in their classrooms. B, aims to improve student learning. C, requires approval from national education authorities, uses a cyclic and reflective approach. Answer is requires approval from national education authorities. Which of the following is not a characteristic? Absolutely correct. Vasanti, Alamilu, Divya Priya, Gajalakshmi, Kavita, Praveen, Uttara, Dipali, Maria. Absolutely correct answers. All wonderful, wonderful. So here we come to the Sarat Kumar, BIS Priyanka. C is the correct answer. Absolutely. Here we come to the last question. Which of these methods is commonly used in classroom action research? Options are surveys, observations, interviews, all of the above. Arjun Ramachandran D, Radha Kodikar D, Preeti Singh D, Shobhan. Yes, Maria Shaheen, Anuradha R, Sujita. Absolutely, absolutely. So I must say that I have a very good batch of students today, teachers and educators with me. Absolutely correct answer. The correct answer is D, as I said, that we should always use multiple methods of data collection, qualitative as well as quantitative. Qualitative, your surveys, observations, interviews, and quantitative, your test scores. Thank you so much for participating. It was great. Let's move on. Now, the most important thing. We have planned the intervention, we have applied the intervention, implemented the intervention. Time has come wherein we have to assess our results. Always re-administer your surveys. If follow-ups are required, kindly do the follow-ups as well. As I said earlier also, pre-test and post-test is very, very important. So always compare. When we compare our pre-test and post-test, one, we get to know that, to what extent our action research was successful. Second, it gives us as educators, as researchers, that kind of confidence also, that yes, whatever we are doing, whatever we have planned, we are moving in correct direction. Reflect on what worked and what needs adjustment. Again, very, very important thing. You should be very clear that what worked well for your students and what needs adjustment, so that it slowly it will be 100% success rate. This slide I will not take much time. These are some few of the things we should reflect upon when we are doing the action research. But over here, the most important thing that I want to focus upon is researchers' biases and beliefs should not come in between your action research. Whenever you are planning the action research, plan as a fresher. Don't take any kind of baggage in your mind. This class is the notorious class. This class cannot do it. I know from years I'm teaching, this concept is always difficult. बच्चे छोड़ के ही आते हैं एग्जाम में. Leave everything aside when you are planning your action research. Only focus on the types of learners that you have. Why so? Because your strategy will be according to that. And focus on that. You will definitely get 100% result if you will leave your biases, your beliefs, and let your students be your partners in the action research. Always make your students your partners in the action research. Very, very important 3 questions. Always keep asking yourself, what worked well? What was that one strategy? What was that one innovative idea that worked wonders for my children? What surprised you? When we were doing mindful action research in our school, we were surprised. We never thought that, children one day will be doing 10-minute breath meditation like this. We never thought of it, and especially with this generation. So what surprised you? How will you refine it? That you have to refine your strategy for some of your learners. But how will you refine that strategy? What else is required from your side to refine that strategy? Or not refining does not mean always changing the strategy. Maybe it has not been implemented properly. Maybe your students have not accepted it in the way you thought of. So you have to reapply it. So these 3 questions you should keep asking yourself during the course of your action research. And once you're done with your action research, you have closed it, you have finalized your result, still ask yourself, because that will become the base for your upcoming action researches. These are some of the key benefits. Though in last 55 minutes, I'm continuously talking about these benefits only. But quickly, it improves our teaching practices, student-centered focus. It is continuous improvement of students and we the teachers. It is our professional development. Of course, it is our professional development. It increases teachers' efficacy, collaboration and sharing. It is contextual. It is real-time problem solving. It is empowering us because we are the ones who are bringing the change. We are not waiting for anyone. We are not even, expecting any ready-made solution for us. It's our problem, real-time solution, real-time impact. And our decisions are backed by data driven. So we are very, very proud and we are very, very confident about the decisions that we are taking. And of course, we are addressing the specific concerns and we are solving them. Yes, it's not easy because there are some limitations. But my dear teachers, let me tell you, it is not that difficult also. I agree that we have some limitations. We are teachers, we have to do so many other things. So the biggest limitation is time, isn't it? Time is the biggest limitation. Then resources at times are the limitation. Then our participants feel pressured. Our students don't want to solve that, different types of maths problems 3 to 4 times. They are not very participative. At times, adolescent, when we are working on the behavioral action research, today's generation, and especially the adolescents and the teens, they don't give us the correct information. Yes, so we have that kind of limitation also. Flexibility of action research is also one of the limitation. Why? So because we cannot replicate. What I did in my class worked wonders, but might not work in your class, isn't it? Whatever I have told you in last 55 or 56 minutes, but when you will start writing on your paper, I'm very sure the 5 columns that you made, you were not even able to write the keyword, because at times we are doing so many things in our classroom, but it is very difficult to document them, very difficult to bring them on the paper. So this is again one of the difficulty of the action research, or I must say it's the limitation of the action research. So it's very difficult to document it, to have a theory of the action research. Quickly, I'll take you this case study, the real-time action research that we did in our classroom. It was all about, Calm Minds, Bright Futures, unveiling the impact of mindfulness on inclusive education in middle school. Our problem statement was to explore and determine whether an inclusive and structured mindfulness program can effectively reduce the stress, improve academic outcomes, and enhance social interactions among middle school students. So, what we did a kind of pre-analysis, and we concluded that the students are facing stress and anxiety was one of the reasons that they are not performing academically well in class. They are having peer issues in the class, and they are also misbehaving with the teachers at times. So this was the entire methodology that we planned. Grade 8 students, 30 students, we took the sample of 30 students. And the interventions that we planned were 10-minute mindfulness breathing, mindful journaling, pledge, affirmations, and mindful jars. And we extended this to approximately 6 to 8 weeks. And as I said, we should always believe in collecting the data through multiple sources. The same thing we did, qualitative data collection and quantitative data collection, because it was related to the behavior of the student. So we also took help from standardized scale, that is STRIDE, to understand their stress and anxiety level. So, and qualitative were focus group discussions, teacher interviews, and other things. And I'm very proud to tell you that it was not easy, because initially students were not ready to participate, not ready to meditate, but slowly with time, tweaking, changing our strategies, finally the interventions were implemented successfully, and not only the academic scores boosted up, but also the behavioral change were there. And these are the feedbacks from the teachers, parents, and students themselves, which proved that, it was really impactful on our students. And my dear teachers, coming to the end, what is the takeaway from today's session? There are okay. So these are something very, very important. The takeaways that we have from today's training. If there is one powerful lesson to carry forward from today, it is this, that small steps can lead to transformative change. Choose manageable topics which you can solve. Involve your students, make your students your partners. Use very, very simple tools for data collection. Stay objective. What you have decided, what do you want to improve in your students? Document every step, write everything initially, because in the end you might not be able to recall. So when you are doing, during the course, during the journey of your action research, document each and every step. Review literature, go back and check. There are so many teachers, they are doing so much on action research in the following years, classroom action research, and very good examples are there. Align it with your learning goals. Share your findings with your friends, your co-teachers. Continuously iterate on the strategies. And the most important thing, celebrate your growth. Don't worry about the result. If it is 5%, 10%, 20%, believe me, you have made a change in a life. So celebrate each and every step of your success. My dear teachers, we are not just the educators, we are catalysts for growth, for shaping the futures. And every small win is a step towards something extraordinary. So, whatever you have planned, the way you have planned, only remember one thing, that our ultimate goal is our students. Learning should happen, they should benefit out of it. So, celebrate your growth and be focused and be objective. So, my dear teachers, the journey begins with you. Take action, transform education, be the change you want to see in the classroom. And believe me, the word action research or classroom action research is new, but the action is not new. We are doing it in our classroom and we are doing it from the years. We are helping that last child also in whatever way we can. Isn't it? Yes or no? We are doing it. Now, only what we have to do is we have to refine it and we have to document it. So, my dear educators, the journey begins with you. Over here, I end my session and open it for question and answers.
Thank you very much, Shalini ma'am. Dear audience, if you have any query, please raise your hand. Please use the virtual hand button, hand raise button.
I think Nasruddin wants to appreciate Shalini ma'am. Nasruddin sir, over to you. You can unmute.
Thank you, sir. Can I
Louder, please, sir. Please, a bit louder, please.
Can I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Shalini ma'am, for the wonderful session. We are really inspired. I am a primary school teacher, worked in Lakshadweep, Minicoy Island. I am handling English and second standard. So in our classroom, we felt so many problems. I focus on the particular problem which most students are facing. So the steps of action research, I think that almost all the teachers have gone through the steps of action research. But after ma'am's session, it's very clearly what are the scientific steps and how we go ahead with action research and what's the purpose of action research, and all these things are very clearly understand. Definitely, I decided that next academic year, definitely I will looking my class through this perspectives and all. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
So we are very happy to see, know that Mr. Nasruddin is following our steps, conducting action research. Thank you so much, Mr. Nasruddin. Ramya ma'am, you can invite participants for questions.
Ramaya ma'am, can you see anybody raising hand?
No, ma'am, no one. Dear participants, if you have any doubt, you may raise. Yes, we have Jesna Najib. Ma'am, you may please unmute.
Participants, you can also write your questions in the chat box if you want. Jesna ma'am?
Jesna ma'am, please unmute.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you so much for this informative session. And actually, this word is new for me, action research classroom, because we are basically we are doing all these intervention plans in our classes. Like we are identifying the different type of learners, the learning disabilities, or this bridge gap when in the transition time. These all we are doing in the class, but with these sessions, I'm clear about how we can systematically redefine and reflective that. And it's also the importance of data driven in this process. And thank you so much, ma'am, for this session.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Ramya ma'am, I shared the certificate link, everything is there, all the steps are there. A few people find it difficult to sign up because of their WhatsApp security issues and all. In that case, there is a second option that is also mentioned in that form, right? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Dear
Yeah.
participants, do we have any queries from your end?
Yeah, Nanda ma'am, thank you so much.
Anybody would like to share their experience as well in connection with today's topic? They are welcome, most welcome. This platform is theirs only. Otherwise, we can wind up.
All right, sir. First of all, Shalini ma'am, thank you so much. That was a great session.
Thank you.
And though we are new to the term action research, it's not a very much familiar term, but we have been using it since many years. And I must say, the way you began this session, taking us back to those pandemic days, but our students are still sitting in those days. They are not ready to come back to the classroom. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
action research is a wonderful method where we can engage them in a different manner and in an enriching manner, which many of our educators do know the topic, but they do not know how to polish it and refine it. But you really gave a beautiful explanation about how to bring it and make it actually practice in the classroom. Hats off to that. Thank you so much for that commendable session, ma'am.
Thank you
And
so much.
dear participants, thank you so much for being so enthusiastic and being very attentive. And you have answered almost all the questions asked by ma'am very, very energetically. That's the energy we want from the audience that will make us come up with so many more webinars and sessions, so many interesting webinars and sessions. And I would like to thank Salam sir for your boundless support and guidance you have giving all these years.
I
And
would also like to thank Salam sir for giving me the opportunity to touch this untouched topic. And I hope that all those who are here today will be benefited, and definitely, they'll apply it in their classrooms, and ultimately our students will be, at the winning side. Thank you so much, Salam sir, and thank you so much, Biju sir.
yes, ma'am, rightly said. Thank you, Biju sir, for being with us throughout the session. Salam sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. A big round of applause to Shalini ma'am. It was very concise, very precise, and very well presented. So thank you so much.
All
And
your
sharing,
blessings when you're teaching, sir.
yeah, thank you. Sharing our knowledge is the best, gift we can give to others. The best service we can give to others. That is actually caring. The sharing is caring. So whatever bit of knowledge we have, we share with others. Action research is not known to many. So that's the reason they are not, attracted to such a topic. Now that they came to know, they will think about it. So you have become the cause to it. So thank you for your contribution.
Thank
And
you.
you have, it's a wonderful, it shows your mastery in the subject, and you have very well researched it, and you have very well presented it.
Thank you so much, sir. Even if one of the participant is applying or going to apply for this session, all our efforts
will be successful.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
You will be successful. Very, very true. Definitely they will be. We have heard Nasaruddin speaking. Definitely many will come forward, and now see there are many terms and many practices. Many practices we have been practicing, but to name them by terms we may not be knowing. That is what is happening, and lots of trends are being introduced in the education sector. Every day, on a daily basis, many trends are coming in. So it is our responsibility, collective responsibility, to share such knowledge, investigate, innovate, and elevate. Yeah. Thank you so much, Shalini ma'am, and the presence of Ramya has added beauty to the session. She has wonderfully wrapped up the session by giving the wonderful comments, and I'm very much proud of the audience, because they are very much attentive, and they were contributing as well, and they were ready to speak. 2 people came forward. That is wonderful. So thank you so much that you have participated. Such innovations should happen in the education, and more knowledge and information should be brought out to each and everyone, so that we will be contributing a great to the education sector. and CBSE, ICSE, whatever. It is irrespective of the board. Action Research is irrespective of the board. It is applicable to all the boards of education. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Somebody was asking whether this recording will be available. Definitely, we will be uploading this recording tomorrow on our YouTube channel. Extra Mail is the channel name. You can watch it. You can also share with your colleagues and others. All those who have nearly 500 registrations have happened. We will be sending this YouTube link to everybody. Thank you so much once again to Shalini ma'am and Ramya ma'am. Let us keep working together for the benefit of our children.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.